Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Sneha for CELPIP and IELTS. So in today's video, we are going to discuss reading module of CELPIP. So if you watched my previous video, in that we discussed part 1 of CELPIP reading, and in this video we are going to move forward to part 2 of CELPIP reading. And before we actually begin the discussion, so if you haven't done it so far, please go to my channel, subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss out on any important videos in the future. So right, now let's begin our discussion. So we are going to discuss part 2 of CELPIP reading. So part 2 of CELPIP reading is about reading to apply a diagram. Now here, as the name suggests, here you get a diagram, a visual, and on the basis of that visual given to the candidates in this part, you have to answer certain number of questions. So the number of questions that you're going to answer are 8. Total, you will find 8 questions over here and you are given 9 minutes to solve them. That means a little bit over a minute for each question. Now, we have already discussed this thing in the previous video that the reading section completely takes around 55 to 60 minutes. And it is the second module in CELPIP, so it appears after listening. So with that in mind, let's actually begin the discussion about reading to apply a diagram. And when we talk about reading to apply a diagram, in one of my previous videos again, I discussed some strategies with you people. Like we have some strategies that are particularly suited for reading section of CELPIP, and those strategies are scanning and skimming. So we will be using scanning and skimming over here as well, because in your reading to apply a diagram, what we'll have to do most of the time, you'll be locating specific information given in the diagram of the task. So definitely you will be scanning the text, that is, you'll be quickly moving your eyes around the text. And to understand certain part of the text or the diagram, you have to skim. So you have to read in depth to understand the main idea. So that would be skimming. So definitely we'll be locating specific information. We'll be skimming. We will have to make logical connections. So the logical connections are between text and the diagram given. So based on the diagram, how can you logically deduce certain answer? That you'll have to do. And understanding the tone, the purpose, that is very important over here. And this one is particularly important because there are questions related to inference and there are questions related to main idea. So if you have watched one of my previous videos, in that we discussed the types of questions that are asked in CELPIP reading. So we have 3 main types of questions in CELPIP reading, and these are specific, detailed, general, meaning, inference based. So I'll quickly just walk you through here. So specific detail are the types of question where you will be searching for key information, so you'll be scanning over here. Then when we talk about general meaning, here you have to understand the purpose, the main idea, the topic, the theme. And when we talk about inference based question, here the information, it's not directly stated, it's indirectly stated, and you have to come to the conclusion based on your understanding overall. So these are the 3 types of questions that again you're going to find in task 2 of reading. So with that in mind, let's actually see how task 2 appears in your examination. So reading part 2, it's reading to apply a diagram. And over here, you will find something like this on your examination's computer screen. So it's going to be a visual like this one. And there is going to be kind of an email written like this one. So you have the text, you have the diagram, you have to combine the information given in the diagram with the text, make logical connections, use scanning, use skimming, understand the main purpose, understand the tone, and answer the questions. So as I said, there are 8 questions in total and you're given 9 minutes. So 8 questions to be solved in 9 minutes. Now when we talk about the types of questions, the format of the questions basically. So the format of questions, you can see question number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are in the form of fill in the blanks. So there is a text given, it's kind of an email, and within the body of the email, you can see that these are in the form of the fill in the blanks. Talking about the options, so you have the options over here, as you can see. Obviously in your examination, now these are going to be kind of a drop down menu over here. So you click on the drop down menu, so you'll have all the options over here only. In this PDF, I have written the options over here separately. So as you can see, the options for question number 1 are these. So you have 4 options for each of the question. Question number 1 to 5. So these are options for 2nd, 3rd. These are options for 4th, 5th. Now, since I said there are 8 questions in total, however, here you see only 5 questions in the form of fill in the blanks. So the rest of the 3 questions, they are written separately from the text. So as you can see, the question for 6th is written over here. And these are the options. So in your examination, question number 6, 7th and 8, they are not going to be part of the text. They will not be in the form of fill in the blanks. Rather, they would be written separately like these, as you can see. So you have the questions separately and there you have the options as well. So in total, you have 8 questions. And with that, let's start the discussion that how do we actually approach your task 2, that is reading to apply a diagram. Let me just erase this one real quick. Alright, so talking about the text. So as soon as you see this text on the screen for part 2, what you're going to do is just try to understand who is writing the email to whom. So as you can see, Aries is writing this to Ray. Ray is the receiver, Aries is the sender. Other than that, try to understand the tone of the text, tone of the email given. So you can see it says hi and then it says please let us know. And if you look at, the beginning, it can actually indicate that are they, are they actually the person who are casually related, like are they friends or are they family or are they talking something related to their work? So are they formally related? So that will be very much clear from the first 1 or 2 sentences itself. So you can just very quickly have a look at what first 1 or 2 sentences they are trying to say. So it says, Sarah and I met this morning to finalize the summer camp schedule, but we need your input before we make it official and inform the teachers about something. So as soon as you read this totally does not look like an informal email. It is a formal one. The tone is formal. Moreover, if you look at the subject, over here it says, English as a second language summer camp. So definitely it sounds formal. So the tone of the email is formal. That means the two persons, they are not friends, they are not family for sure. So you have to understand the purpose. What are they talking about? So the discussion, the purpose is about summer camp schedule. Purpose is clear and the tone is clear as well. So the tone here is a formal tone. Other than this, what you're going to do is you're going to have a very quick look at the given visual, given diagram. So as you can see, the given diagram has this schedule kind of thing for 4 days. It's July 12, July 13, July 14 and July 15. And you can see the timings given. You can see the subjects, the activities that are given over here. So you need to have a very quick look at what this diagram is about. Don't read it thoroughly in the beginning. So now what you're going to do is you're going to straight away come to the question, fill in the blank, number 1 that you see. So it says, Sarah and I met this morning to finalize the summer camp schedule, but we need your input before we make it official and inform the teachers about their something. So Aries is saying that Aries and Sarah, I here is Aries. Aries and Sarah, they have already finalized summer camp schedule, but she is asking Ray for his inputs as well before they finalize the schedule that Sarah and Aries have already decided. So they're just trying to know the inputs of Ray. So in that case, Aries is saying that before we make it official and inform the teachers about their something. So if Aries is saying that based upon the finalization of the schedule, they are going to inform the teachers about something. So think it logically that what will they inform the teachers about? They will inform the teachers about summer camp schedule, right? Think logically. So they will inform the teachers about summer camp schedule. And what is there in the summer camp schedule that is correct according to these 4 options given for question number 1? So is it class times, accommodation details, activity costs, or student numbers? So as you can see from the diagram, the visual is not about accommodation details. It says English lesson, then there are some activities that are there. So it's not about accommodation details. Activity costs, again, it's nothing about costs in the summer camp schedule. Student numbers, no, it does not talk about student numbers at all. So here the correct answer would be class times. The schedule is about class timings, activities, lessons. As you can clearly say, it says 8:30 wake up, 9 breakfast, 9:35, 10:45 English lesson 1 and so on. So the schedule is obviously about the class timings. So A would be the answer for question number 1. Now coming to question number 2, so the text further says, last year, a couple of teachers had to rush through the material. Do you think that dash would resolve the problem? So here, what is the problem that Aries is referring to? The problem is this, that a couple of teachers, they had to rush through the material. So maybe because of the paucity of time or tight schedule, what happened is the teachers, they had to rush through the material. Then Aries is asking the opinion of Ray that do you think that something would resolve this problem? So what will resolve this problem? So what will help, with this thing that teachers should not have to rush through the material this year? So it is it allowing students to get more sleep in the morning, giving students opportunities to socialize outside campus, making the material more appealing for teachers, or starting the day at 9 a.m. instead of 9:35 a.m.? Now, again, think logically. If you want to resolve the problem that you want to make sure that teachers do not have to rush through the material, so what you'll be doing? Will you be allowing students to get more sleep in the morning? If students get more sleep in the morning, that means that classes are going to start late, and that is actually contradictory. That will add to the problem rather than resolving it. Cannot be my answer. Giving students opportunities to socialize outside campus. Now, if students have opportunities to socialize outside campus, how does this relate to this problem? It doesn't make any sense. C says, making the material more appealing for teachers. Now, teachers had to rush through the material. That was not because it was less appealing. Doesn't make any sense at all. Cannot be the answer. Obviously, if you start the day earlier, instead of 9:35, if we start the day earlier at 9 this year, that means we have half an hour extra each day. So that means we have more time to cover the course, to cover the activities. So the teachers, they won't have to rush through the material. So that would be D for question number 2. And the text further says, you will see that this year dash. So you will see that this year dash. So they're talking about this year. This year means now they're talking about this schedule given. So what is true about this year? There is only one social activity per day? No. In all the days, you can see that there are, definitely more than one social activity. You have 2 activities on day 1, 2 on day 2, 2 on day 3, then 3 on day 4. So definitely this one is not true for this year. All classes are concentrated before lunch. So do you think all the classes are before lunch? Again, no. Look at this Thursday. This is lunch and there is a class after lunch. Look at this. On Saturday, there is lunch and then there is a class after lunch. Again on Sunday, this is lunch and a class after lunch. So not all classes are concentrated before lunch. There are no social activities in the morning. No social activities in the morning, definitely. Because mornings are all about subjects. That is English lesson. So this is the correct thing. Students will not leave the campus every day. Now this schedule does not talk about it, that whether students are going to leave the campus or not. It's definitely not about this. So answer for question number 3 is C. I hope things are clear so far. Alright, so now let's move on to the next questions. Now the text says, I dedicated the afternoons for sightseeing instead. How do you feel about that? Also, neither of us knows whether we are providing all meals or just breakfast and supper like last year. We only know that the dash are included in the tuition under social activities. So this Aries, this person is saying that neither of us knows whether we are providing all meals or just breakfast and supper like last year. The only thing Aries and Sarah, they know is that something is included in the tuition under social activities. So what is that thing which is included in the tuition under social activities? Again, you have to refer back to the diagram. According to the diagram, what do you think out of these are included in the tuition? In the tuition means that's part of the this camp schedule. What would that be? Is it outings or lessons or books or accommodation? Now, if you look at this option, option B, lessons and tuition would mean the same, right? Doesn't make any sense. If I say included in the tuition, tuition means we're talking about academic part, that is lessons. The schedule does not talk anything related to books, does not talk anything related to accommodation, but definitely it includes outings. So as you can see, all these outings, they are part of the schedule, they are part of the tuition. So that means outings would be the correct answer for this one. And then it says, finally, we need to make a final decision about something, the campsite after the ferry ride to Victoria Island. We, that means Aries, Sarah, Ray, they need to decide on something. And what is that? That we have to tell. Now, whenever you have, a fill in the blank in the middle of the sentence, as you can see here, it's in the middle of the sentence. So for those questions where you cannot, answer based on this much part of the sentence, your clue, it is generally after this part. So if you think, that this diagram is not giving me the option over here, I don't know what final decision they need to make, whether it's about who is chaperoning the students, about transportation, or how long they'll be staying, or facilities. If you're not sure about it, try to relate it with the later part of the text. So the later part of the text says one thing. It says about something, the campsite after the ferry ride to Victoria Island. Then Aries further says, Sarah suggested we charter a bus to pick us up at the ferry station, but I thought this year's campsite was only accessible by boat. So if Sarah is suggesting something related to chartering a bus to pick us up at the ferry station, but Aries think that this year's campsite was accessible only by boat. So going by boat, chartering a bus to pick them up, all these things, they refer to transportation to the campsite, right? Now look at the options. Finally, we need to make a final decision about. So she's saying that they have still not decided about something. However, for this something, Sarah suggested this. So if Sarah is suggesting something and that is about transportation, so what is the final decision that they have to make? That is the transportation. That is why Sarah is suggesting in relation to that, right? So that would be, finally, we need to make a final decision about transportation to and from the campsite after the ferry ride to Victoria Island. So that means B would be the answer over here. So as you can see, for those questions where the beginning of the sentence, it doesn't, help in locating the correct answer, the clue is generally present after the blank in those cases. So you have to read the sentence completely. Try to read the sentence till you find a full stop. So while you're reading the text, don't stop as soon as you saw a fill in the blank. Read the sentence completely, because generally your clues are after the blank in most of the cases. So this is how you solve question 1 to 5. You'll be combining the text with the diagram to logically connect them. As you saw that we were doing nothing, we were just scanning the things. So these were related to specific detail. We were scanning the things over here, right? Now, question number 6, it's written over here. It's not part of the text, as I said earlier. So Aries is emailing Ray. So what is the purpose? Why is Aries emailing Ray? It's clearly said in the beginning. We need your input before we make something official. So if they need inputs, that means they are asking for advice. That is the purpose why that is the reason why Aries is writing an email to Ray, right? So that would be to ask for advice. She's not making a complaint. This person is not making any request for changes, and neither relieving Ray of duties, right? So that would be the correct answer. So now let's come back to the last 2 questions that are left. So Now, question number 7 says last year's camp. So we have to tell some information related to last year's camp. What's true according to the text or to the visual given to you. So how do we know that? There were some clues given in the text where this Aries, she was comparing things related to, summer camp this year with the things related to what happened last year, and that was over here. So we'll focus on this part. It says last year a couple of teachers had to rush through the material. Do you think that something would resolve the problem? And you will see that this year, so if you remember the answer for question number 3, it was, she was saying that you will see that this year there are no social activities in the morning. So this year there is this thing that there are no social activities in the morning. That is one comparison. And then she says, I dedicated the afternoons for sightseeing instead. Also, neither of us knows whether we are providing all meals or just breakfast and supper like last year. So that means last year they just provided breakfast and supper. We only know that something or including the tuition under social activities. So this was comparison between last year's camp and this year's camp. So if you look at this part, according to this information that we have, last year camps, now this option is incorrect. Last year's camp only provided breakfast and supper. It did not provide all the meals. So this cannot be your answer. Focused exclusively on academic activities or did not take students on a camping trip. Now these two mean one and the same thing, and two options cannot be my answer. So if I say did not take students on a camping trip, or if I say focused exclusively on academic activities, they mean one and the same thing, cannot be my answers. And we don't know that whether last year it focused exclusively on academic activities or not. It's nowhere given. This comparison has not been made clearly. Now, last year's camp, it featured social activities in the morning. And that is why here this person is saying that I dedicated the afternoons for sightseeing instead. That you will see that this year there are activities included, and these activities have been included in the afternoon. So that means last year social activities were there in the morning. That is why she's drawing the comparison over here. You have to think logically. You have to combine the information given here with the options given over here. Think logically. And now let's come to question number 8. It says Aries, something about Aries should be true according to the text. So Aries needs Ray to authorize the proposal before presenting it to the teachers. Now authorizing the proposal would be that Ray is the authority who decides the final take on the schedule. It's not the case. Aries here clearly mentioned that we need your input. She did not say that you need to authorize, right? So that cannot be my answer. Aries created the schedule for this year's camp all by herself? No. She clearly said Sarah and I. So that means she did not do all by herself. Sarah was also there. Cannot be my answer. Will be joining the students on the camping trip, or hasn't made any changes to the previous schedule. So has not made any changes to the previous schedule. Now this thing, or will be joining the students on the camping trip. If I look at C, she clearly said that Sarah suggested we charter a bus to pick up us at the ferry station. Us, right? We have to make a final decision. If you remember this one, it was about transport, and then she said we charter a bus to pick us up at the ferry station. So that means if she's saying pick us up, she's including herself, she's including Aries, right? So that means they are definitely joining the students on the camping trip. So C would be the correct answer. This is the clue given over here, right? Just one word, pick us up. So that means Sarah, Aries, they both are definitely going on the trip. They will be joining the students on the trip. And if we say hasn't made any changes to the previous schedule, they have made changes to the previous schedule. Compared to last year, number of things have been changed this year. So this cannot be our answer. So this is how you solve part 2 of CELPIP reading, reading to apply a diagram. There will be a visual given, 5 questions in the form of fill in the blanks, 3 questions written separately. All of them have 4 options. They are in the form of MCQs, and you have to combine the information of the text with the diagram to come to the correct answers. So I hope this part 2 related discussion is clear to you now. In case you have any doubts, you can leave comments on the video and I'll try to answer each and everyone's doubt for sure. And before I end the video, please go to my channel. To make sure that you do not miss out on any such important video, please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, share them with whosoever needs them. We'll be coming up with much more videos, many more videos for you people. And till then, take care. Bye-bye.